Representative Manuel, recognize the question, bill author on the substitute.
Thank you so much. Chairman Hunter, just some really quick questions. Thank you for laying out the layout of the districts of where they are with President Trump and Vice President Harris. What I was wondering is, looking at CD, just to start off with CD 30 and 33, has there been any concern about the fact that historically CD 30 has always had an economic engine of the airport in their district, and now it is no longer there? And the reason I ask that is because not that anybody deserves to have an airport or deserves to have any economic interest, because people move their district headquarters wherever they choose to, but there's some historical economic engines that have been in 30 that are now and have been moved to Congressional District 33 that were in a predominantly black African American area, and was wondering if that was a part of any decision making when it comes to the maps, as part as one of the questions.
So, Representative Manuel, I think that those two districts that you referenced were in the original and unchanged in the substitute. So the questions, I think, the only thing pending before the committee at this time is the substitute,
so
whether to adopt it. So, yeah, questions I think have to be limited only to the substitute. Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me ask this way into the substitute. Are all of the economic engines that were in Congressional District 30, are they still in that congressional district now?
That's again the underlying bill. Again, that's the underlying bill. You're not asking me about. I told you at the top, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 17, 18, 22, 29, 36, and 38 are the changes.
Okay, so,
but
okay.
Like I told Dean Thompson, if you'll go on District Viewer and look at the original 30, it'll tell you exactly where the line is.
Okay, so as of right now, just can you, and I'm so sorry, I promise
you're
I'm
fine.
not trying to be facetious. Can you tell me those districts one more time? And I know it is completely my
Absolutely.
fault.
No. 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 17, 18, 22, 29, 36, 38.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. So I have two questions because you answered my question. So there aren't any changes to 30 and 33. It's only to these lists from 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 17, 18, 22, 29, 36, and 38. Just want to make sure. Okay. So you answered my question. So there aren't any changes to those. As it relates to CD9 and CD29, and I completely understand if you don't have the answers to it, because I know sometimes we just don't know. Are there any changes in the economic engines to CD9 and CD29? And the reason I ask is because those are traditionally districts that have had minority representation and were minority coalition districts previous. So I'm wondering if there's been any changes to those coalition districts as it relates to their economic engines that have been used to help prop up those communities in those districts.
Okay, now, as a preference, we've already gone through the two, Rochu and Petaway. So as you remember, there's a different view on the legal involvement of coalition. Do I specifically know? The answer is no. You could go on District Viewer, but being a coastal guy, now that CD9 has Liberty County, I think that's a great economic energy area. So I think you gained a whole bunch.
Well, we're both coastal guys. I will agree on that. What I will say is all the refinery and industry that is traditionally in the areas are between mainly Jefferson, Galveston, parts of Orange, but mainly Jefferson and Orange. I'm not seeing what industry there is that is in Congressional District 9, because I know that we have had prospects of what could come to those areas, but they've all been vastly working class industrial areas. And the reason I asked, because I've brought this up before, is that Congressional District 14, which is Jefferson and Orange, in Galveston, which predominantly used to not look like this, that brought really bad economic interests to our area because we ended up being merged with a predominantly blue-collar retail industry, and it caused us to lose a massive amount of GDP. It caused us to have a massive amount of underemployed Black, whites, Hispanics, Latinos, and biracial people. And I'm just wondering if that was the case that was happening in CD9 from where it used to be, and CD18 as well. So I got that understanding. You don't know if there are any economic engines that have been changed in Congressional District 19 or Congressional District 29, but we're assuming that that should be better for us as coastal members.
Okay, now 19 you mentioned is.
Sorry, not 19, I'm sorry, 9 and 29, I
Yeah,
apologize.
9 and 29, as I indicated, you'd go on District Viewer to look. Do I know specifically without going to that? I do
Okay.
not. I do think, as you know, at the top, political performance was used, and that was our factor.
Okay, and I think this should be the last question because I don't want to be a liar. May I ask, what was the reason for the changes in the congressional districts from what we had previous? Like, what was the reasoning for changing those districts previous to now?
To make them more Republican.
To make them more Republican. So it was
That's right,
just-
partisanship, political performance. That's what I said at the very top. Absolutely, they've been enhanced, and it makes it stronger, and it allows a Republican performance, partisan under the U.S. Supreme Court.
Okay, so please forgive me, Chairman, I'm really not trying to be adversarial, I promise. So we're making sure that now these districts are purely political, when the last time we were here, and I really don't mean that as a pun intended, that we talked about how some of these districts were predominantly now going to be Hispanic or Latino opportunities. So now it's not that we are doing this, you're saying, because it's purely because of President Trump's performance in an election. So is that what we're saying is the reason that we're changing CD9 and the rest of 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 17, 18, 22, 29, 36, and 38, correct?
No, I don't agree with you. The U.S. Supreme Court, as we've already talked in many, many hours, Rucho, says a jurisdiction may engage in constitutional political gerrymandering, recognizing that politics and political considerations are inseparable from districting and apportionment. It says that you can use partisan interest. It can use political performance. It indicates that this is absolutely a factor. This is a U.S. Supreme Court, and we are able to use that. It's the same premise that I provided in the prior presentation.
Has the U.S. Supreme Court ever put a precedent on doing mid-decade redistricting?
We've done it before.
Well, no, I know we've done it before, but he went to jail. So that's the reason I'm asking is have they placed anything in there that says that?
I don't agree with that. I think that's a remark that I would not agree with, to bring up somebody who went to jail. I can give you 14 other reasons why maybe the other side was wrong. I don't think we want to shoot at each other in the hearing.
No. I get that.
But I don't agree with that. There's nothing that prevents this congressional redistricting.
No.
And we could do it again.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm going to go back to the previous last hearing is my district was mid-decade redistricting in 2003. And because of that, Tom DeLay was sentenced to jail because there were things that he had done during that. And Tom DeLay's probably going to get me, so I pre-apologize. But
This
you did
doesn't
tear
really
my
have
district.
any
So no, what I'm saying
about
is
this
that
committee substitute.
no, I'm asking is because you brought up the Supreme Court. That's the only reason. I promise. I'm not an attorney. I think you all know that. I'm just a former simple staffer who's been here for 21 years in October. And I was just wondering if, I've been that long, I know I have nothing else to do important in my life. Wondering if, since we are bringing up the Supreme Court has said that we can do this because of performance, and totally understand that, Chairman Hunter, was wondering if the Supreme Court had ever issued out a statement saying that mid-decade redistricting is something that is not an issue. Because again, the only reason I'm saying that is because the last person in Texas who did that did go to jail. Not saying you or anyone else, I'm saying the last person who did that in Texas went to jail because he was doing things on a federal level that was found to be
Representative,
found to be for him
Representative,
criminally
you're
to spend
off
time in jail.
on not the committee substitute. You're going off. You know, this was all discussed August 1st.
Yes, sir.
This is August 18th. We're on a committee substitute, and we're not re-arguing those areas. If you have questions
Okay.
on this plan, I will focus on it.
Okay,
We
I
will
do
not
actually have one for that
agree.
one.
I understand. We will respectfully disagree with each other. But,
Oh, yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, let's focus on the substitute.
Okay, I want to focus on the sub then, and I'll just say this. Focusing on a committee substitute, has there ever been a Supreme Court ruling
Well-
that says the committee substitute
Well,
for redistricting
I
can be
think,
brought
I
up?
think Representative, I feel you in the sense of trying to tie the question to it. It really, the questions I think pending before the committee at this time are just about the changes that have been made in the committee substitute compared to the introduced, and
Okay.
the explanations for those, as opposed to the constitutionality of mid-decade redistricting, which I think doesn't touch the changes on the map. So if you have a question about, a particular change, certainly fair game.
Perfect. Okay, I do actually have one. When it comes to Congressional District 33, Chairman Hunter, would you mind, again, and I pre-apologize, can you give me the breakdown and the reasoning for Congressional District 33 changing from where it was to why? Like, why we're moving it or changing it to where it is?
So on that one, Representative, so 33 did not change.
So 30 changed.
30 did not change either.
So it was 36.
36 and 38.
Okay, so question of the chair then.
Sure.
And please forgive my novice
you're
for
fine.
asking this question. I thought that when we changed any congressional district, even by one voter, it changed every congressional district because we had to move people.
Fair question.
So maybe that's where I'm
So
confused.
in what you'll see on your district viewer and in front of you, Representative, if you'll see there's a handout that has at the top in red Plan C2331, and then in
Yes.
black underneath it Plan C333. So this shows obviously just with the limit of an 11 by 17 piece of paper, the changes that were made between
Right.
the introduced and the committee substitute. The introduced is the red lines. You see those?
Yes.
And the substitute is the colored areas that are shaded. And so what you'll see, for example, your questions
Real
earlier
quick,
about
is that the dark shaded part or the red shaded part?
any type of color shading is the
Okay.
committee substitute, and any type of red line is the introduced. And so if you look, representing the top right corner of that,
Ah,
you
okay.
see
I
in
see what
30
you're
and 33, see how they line
Yes.
up perfectly?
So like in 38, sorry, not 38, so like in 22, you see where
Yes.
it used to be in this boundary up
Yes.
here next to Waller County, but it's now drawn somewhere different. So that's actually going to be
Yeah, so
within Waller County.
you can ask the representative
questions
about questions about the
okay.
differentials between the shaded areas and the red lines, basically. Does that make sense?
Yes, no,
You bet.
absolutely.
So do you have a question for the representative about
Yes,
anything on that? Yeah, go for
I
it.
do. If you just give me one, because my biggest
Take your time.
concern
Just let us know.
is, and again, Chairman Hunter, I appreciate you taking the time. I promise I'm not going to try to belabor the moment because I know people are probably already irritated as it is. Looking at this, in those red lines of it, looking at 29 and 18, the only changes have been is that Congressional District 18 has been basically it has increased its population of black people while also keeping its economic engines that it's traditionally had. Is that correct? Or are we only going off of race?
No, again, as I answered Dean Thompson, CD 18 decreases black CVAP from 50.81% to 50.71%. But
Wait,
conversely,
50 point,
50.81 to 50.71.
7-1. Okay, so
But
it
it
decreases.
increases the Hispanic CVAP from 22.40% to 23.83%.
Okay, and just trying to make sure that I'm staying in the sub-chairman, so sorry about that. When we're looking at Congressional District 30, there are no changes to that.
Again, stipulated, no changes in the committee sub to 30.
Okay, no, I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at the map, and there also are not any changes to 33, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 18, 22, 29, 36, 38.
No,
and-
no.
No.
2,
Right.
6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 17, 18, 22, 29, 36, 38.
Okay. Last question, I very much promise. What were the changes in economic engines to Congressional District 18?
As I responded to Dean Thompson,
Uh-huh.
you would have to go to the district viewer and look exactly at those lines.
Okay, so looking at the district viewer, we will be able to see
You'll see exactly where the lines are.
what those lines are. And I shouldn't have lied and said last question. I promise this is it. So if there are any congressional districts, sorry, if there are any severe economic,
If we can get you to vote for this, you can ask me 10 more, Christian. I'm counting on you voting yes. That's
live
an
on the Gulf
economic
Coast.
engine right there.
I live on the Gulf Coast and I would be easily be
Come
able
on
to
down.
set adrift. When it comes to CD 18, if there are any severe economic changes to the economic congressional power of 18, would that be something that we, as a committee, maybe I shouldn't ask the question. If there are any severe economic changes to Congressional 18, which is a historically black district that has been historically underrepresented now in this moment, that has had a very serious need and has been vacant by the time someone would take the seat over a year, would we take that into serious consideration to understand the economic poverty that people who live in 18, particularly black and brown people who live in those districts, have historically had to deal with since before the voting rights and after have gone into effect?
As I have answered, you'll have to go to the district viewer, look at the exact lines to see where exactly the indicators that you're looking at are or not.
And then bring that to you on the floor and see if maybe
Sure.
there's a way we can see about making that better.
I'm opening to visit with anybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chairman. I really do appreciate your time for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.